He shouted. She stayed calm. What happened next turned humiliation into history. The late afternoon sun poured through the tall glass windows, casting golden streaks across the open office floor. The air buzzed with the rhythm of clicking keyboards and the low murmur of conversations. The symphony of another corporate day, winding toward its end. The scent of coffee lingered, blending with the faint hum of the air conditioning. At the far corner, Ava Johnson sat in quiet focus, her posture straight, her movements measured. Her dark curls framed a face that rarely betrayed emotion, though her eyes spoke of unspoken thoughts, resilience, perhaps, or quiet defiance. Her fingers danced lightly across the keyboard, finishing the last line of a financial report that would soon cross the executive board's desk. To her colleagues, Ava was the dependable one, polite, steady, invisible in the best way. Few noticed how she carried herself with the calm assurance of someone who knew more than she let on. On her desk, a small desk calendar bore a red circle around tomorrow's date, Corporate Announcement Meeting. As the light shifted, something else caught the sun. A sleek black folder half hidden in her bag, the words Confidential Executive Board embossed in silver. It glimmered for only a second before she closed the flap gently, her expression unreadable. The calm rhythm of the office shattered as Mr. Thompson's door slammed open. Papers fluttered on nearby desks. His heavy steps echoed across the polished floor, his tie slightly askew, his face flushed with anger. The room went still. Even the hum of conversation seemed to vanish. "Ava!" His voice sliced through the air like glass. "Did you mess up the client presentation again?" Heads turned, fingers froze above keyboards. Ava looked up slowly, her heartbeat quickening beneath her composed exterior. Her hands trembled faintly, but her gaze did not waver. "No, sir," she said evenly, her voice calm yet firm. "The report was completed on schedule. You might want to check your email." A flicker of red deepened in Thompson's face. He laughed, short, sharp, and cruel. "You people always have excuses." The words struck like a whip. The silence that followed was suffocating. Even the clock on the wall seemed to pause. A few co-workers looked down, pretending to read their screens. Across the room, near the corner window, a senior executive remained perfectly still. His expression was unreadable as he observed the scene, stylus in hand, jotting something onto his digital tablet. His eyes never left Ava. Something in his quiet scrutiny hinted that this confrontation was far from over. The sharp chime of an email notification broke the heavy silence. Phones buzzed and screens lit up almost in unison. "Company-wide meeting, boardroom. Immediate attendance required." The words carried an electric charge through the room. Whispers rippled across cubicles. Was this about the new CEO, a merger, a layoff? No one knew, but curiosity outweighed caution. Chairs slid back, and footsteps filled the corridor like an anxious drumbeat. In the boardroom, sunlight spilled across the long glass table, reflecting in nervous eyes. Ava slipped quietly into a seat at the back, her hands clasped in her lap. She kept her expression neutral, her gaze fixed on the notepad before her. The earlier confrontation still echoed faintly in her mind, but she buried it under calm composure. At the front of the room stood Mr. Thompson, puffed with false confidence. He straightened his tie, shoulders squared, rehearsing a polite smile. To him, the meeting could only mean one thing: recognition, promotion, perhaps. He cast a brief glance toward Ava, his smirk smug, triumphant. The low buzz of speculation quieted as the CEO entered, flanked by senior board members. The atmosphere thickened, a mixture of hope, fear, and expectation, as every head turned toward the podium where change was about to be announced. The room fell into absolute stillness as the CEO stepped forward, his presence commanding yet calm. Behind him, the board members formed a silent wall of authority. The faint hum of the air conditioner was the only sound as every employee leaned forward, anticipation thick in the air. "Thank you all for your hard work," the CEO began, his voice deep and steady. "Today marks a new chapter, a leader who will guide this branch into the future." Mr. Thompson straightened his tie once more, chin lifting, the ghost of a smile tugging at his lips. But then the CEO paused, his eyes drifting past him, locking instead on someone seated quietly at the back of the room. "Please welcome Ms. Ava Johnson, our new Chief Executive Officer." Gasps rippled like a wave. A pen clattered to the floor. Thompson's face drained of colour. The papers in his hands slipped, scattering like fallen leaves. Ava rose slowly, her expression serene, the afternoon light spilling across her face, painting her in quiet authority. In that instant, the black folder in her bag, Confidential Executive Board, made perfect sense. She had been chosen weeks ago after successfully leading a high-stakes international merger in silence. Now every eye saw her differently, not as invisible, but undeniable. For a heartbeat, no one moved. The room was frozen, breaths held, eyes wide. Then, as if a current passed through the air, applause erupted, first hesitant, then thunderous. The sound filled every corner of the boardroom, echoing down the glass halls. Some clapped with awe, others with a quiet sense of justice finally served. Mr. Thompson stood motionless, his earlier arrogance dissolving into silence. His gaze dropped to the scattered papers at his feet, shame burning behind his downcast eyes. Every cruel word he had thrown now hung in the air like smoke, and everyone had seen it. Ava stepped forward, her composure unbroken. When she spoke, her voice carried warmth and quiet authority. "Leadership isn't about the loudest voice in the room," she said, meeting each gaze steadily. "It's about listening, respecting, and lifting others up." The words lingered, soft but powerful, a gentle rebuke and a promise of change. As the meeting ended, the late afternoon sun spilled across the floor once more, brighter than before. Ava walked to the window, the city stretching before her in gold and silver. In the reflection of the glass, her figure blended with the skyline, steady, radiant, unshaken. A symbol of strength born from grace. Respect everyone, regardless of their position or skin colour, because you never truly know who you're speaking to or how far they've already risen.